Let's see how this works. At least it says excellent connection, so that's good. I don't remember at all how I can actually, let me share this now. So video link. Quickly gonna post the link of the stream to my Instagram, and then I will start just a second. So here we go. Let me see if I can actually also see the stream myself. So there's the chat. Hey, what's up? So that should be it. Then I will just see that this link works on mobile. In the past, I don't remember when was the last live I did, but I had a lot of issues with these lives, but that seems to be working out just fine. So let me post this story live on YouTube. Swipe up to watch me create. There's a typo. Create something in 3D. Okay. Your story, post, and then I'll make sure that it uploads. Okay, there we go. So now we should have some people rolling in here at some point. Let me pop up the chat here so I can see what everyone is saying. Hi man, you're my inspiration. Thank you so much. Is the grid supposed to be on the screen? No, it is not supposed to be on the screen. Let me actually remove the grid. I don't have a capture card, so I'm doing this in a bit different way. Let me try to see if I can actually take the grid off. Okay, now the grid is off. That should be good. And there we go. Okay, I'll put the chat somewhere here so I can see at the same time. So I have no idea what I'm going to create today, and that might be sort of an issue because yeah, I have zero idea what I will create. But I will start out with something landscape related, and I think I'm gonna go for at least have water in my scene. I always like to add a bit of water into landscape scenes. So that is what I'm gonna start out with. And please let me know in the chat if there's any problems with the stream. Let me know if the audio is good. I didn't have like a lot of time to test, so I hope everything is running smoothly. Okay, so first off, I'm just gonna start out my project here, and I will definitely not explain everything in detail that I'm gonna do here because this program does get quite complex straight in at the beginning when you open it. So I'm just gonna set up my scene here the way how I normally set it up, and then I will start creating my scene and explain some things. If you have any questions along the way, please feel free to let me know. What's up, Nikhil? How are you doing? So I am going to set up my project. I usually edit in path tracing, and here I need to set a bit less samples so my computer doesn't crash in between. I also do not have any idea if my computer can handle this while I'm streaming. Let me actually see if I can change. I should be able to change it in between. Yeah, that seems to be working just fine. So there we go. I'm also gonna set my canvas size here. And I usually start with 1080 by 1350 because that is the ratio for Instagram. And I'm using Octane renderer in my renders. And I use the linear workflow. So I'm gonna explain that a bit further and if I can even finish this within one live. So that's at the beginning. Then I'm gonna set up a camera in my scene. And this is just gonna be a simple camera setup. Let's make this linear, neutral response. I want my gamma to be 2.2. And then I think I need to also go here and change my settings from sRGB to linear. And that's pretty much the basic setup I have. Okay, so on the right side here, I see everything basically in my scene that I am creating. And then here on the left side, I can see the final result from that. The screen is not visible right now. Is it visible now? It should be visible. Now is my face and now should be the screen. Let me know if you can't see it because it should work. Hi, Martin. Okay, so first I'm gonna add a plane here. And this is just gonna be a normal plane setup. I'm not sure if I need any samples on it. Segments, and segments basically mean the amount of geometry that I add into my objects here. So I think I'm actually gonna move with this camera instead. I can immediately notice that my computer is way slower while I'm streaming, so we'll see how far I can push this. I'm actually gonna also save this project immediately before. Let's do stream project. Like that. All right. So I'm gonna set a normal daylight here first. And what I really love about 3D is that I can basically immediately have realistic lighting and shadows. In Photoshop, it was always a pain to create shadows for object myself. And now that I'm in 3D, everything just runs way smoother. So yeah, it works fine for me. I can see the screen perfect, so that shouldn't be an issue now. I have set the screens to 1 and 2, so it could be that actually turns into an issue. Let me try to see if I do like 21, for example, here. Yeah, that will turn into an issue. Okay, so I think I have to actually change the shortcuts to be something else. For example, Control 1 or Shift 1 and Shift 2. Let me see that it doesn't do anything here in. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly change that. Just a second. These are. Let me take so Shift 1 and then Shift 2. Apply. Okay. So now Shift 2 and Shift 1 should work, but 1 and 2 does not do anything. All right. Perfect. That is now fixed, so I won't accidentally turn the camera on. I probably should buy, what do you call those things? A stream deck or something where I can like click with my finger to switch the scenes. So a normal daylight here. I am most likely going to just add some water here. And the way how I categorize my materials here is that every material that I create or every material that I buy, I immediately create them here in my live database, so they save and I don't have to create them every single time again. I don't really have a lot of materials yet because I often use what is called Quixel Mega Scans. I use this bridge tool, Quixel Bridge, and from here I have 15,000+ assets that I can use freely in my projects. So this is basically what I use the most for materials. And if I go here to the purchased, I can see all of the ones that I've used in the past. And I feel like a lot of people creating 3D use Quixel because it's just the fastest to create, for example, everyday renders. I always wonder why people from certain countries always seem to the coolest stuff. I swear it's always people from Finland and the UK who make insane work. There's a few digital artists in Finland, but I don't really know that many people from Finland who do digital art. Juso HD is a really talented artist from Finland as well. Megascans is dope. Yeah, that's true. I'm most likely going to use some assets from here for this project that I will create, although I still have zero clue what I'm going to create. So I've saved my water material here. So I'm just going to download it from the database, apply it to my plane, and then we have immediately some nice water here. I'm like, what I'm seeing right now in my head is some sort of a scene that there's like a leading dock into some sort of an island. So I'm trying to create some sort of an island here, and maybe we'll even have some sort of a cabin in the middle. And you can also suggest what I will put in this. Yeah. So how should I start this? It's really confusing when you are streaming, and if I want to read the chat at the same time when I am editing, this can get like pretty confusing for me. But I'll try my best to stay as organized as possible. So first off, if I want to have some sort of a leading dock into an island, I need to have, I think a cube could work for that. So I'm going to try with the cube first. So let's see. I am going to move this cube in the middle here. And I'm going to add a little bit of segments into this. So let's do like 50 and 50. And I think we need segments there as well. And then I'm going to deform this a bit. So let's add a displacer to this. And displacer I can use to create bunch of different effects on top of the geometry. So I think I need more actually samples here. Or maybe I'll make my dog a little bit smaller. So something like that. So let me add a bit more segments. I'm going to do like 100 and 100. So now you can see the more segments I have, the more geometry I have also on my cube. So if I go here to display and I do hidden lines, you can see all these squares, and each square or each rectangle represents basically one polygon. And the more I add here, the more you can see that, or the finer the displacement now gets. And basically the only reason why I added displacement here is because nothing in nature is like completely straight. So if I want to make a dock, I don't want that dock to be like perfectly straight or perfectly flat. So let's see these noises that I could use. Actually need to scale this up a little bit so it's not so spiky. Maybe even more. Let's do like 5,000 for this. No, that's too much. 2,000. Yeah. And then here in the displacer I can also determine how high or how much it will displace. And of course if you do too much then it looks completely weird. So I'm just going to do a tiny bit of geometry on it. I actually don't need this many segments. I'm gonna try to keep this project also a bit lighter now because I'm not sure my computer can handle extremely heavy scenes while I am streaming. I'm gonna make this editable. So here you can sort of think this in the same way as a smart object. So when you create a cube or whatever element from the menu here, it first is sort of as a smart object and you can't make any adjustments to it before you make it editable. Or in Photoshop, you could refer it to rasterizing a layer. So I'm gonna make it editable. And now I can basically sculpt this however I want. So I have my sculpt brushes put here and I have sort of created this whole interface from scratch myself. So I can access everything that I need quickly. So I have these brushes here. And I think the first thing I'm going to do here is just to smoothen out these edges a tiny bit here. And yeah, this just gets rid of this really, really sharp look on this cube. I think I could even, let me actually check if I can find some sort of a dock from here. Most likely not. Maybe we could even add some sort of a fence on the dock. Don't know, we'll see. So something like that to start out. It doesn't have to be too complex. Let me actually turn my daylight off from the scene. So in Cinema 4D, there's these two dots, and the top one represents the actual view of your scene, and then the bottom one is your renderer. So if I double click here, then you can see my daylight disappeared from my render view. And I usually hide the daylight from the actual view here because it makes some of the edges look really dark. So I usually just take it off. And I usually also don't keep my materials on here. So you can see that now I can sort of see the tiling of the water here. So if I turn my materials off from the options here, then I just have my geometry here. And if I can change these settings basically all the time. Usually when I'm sculpting, I do garage shading because here I can see the shape of my elements way better. So I think that's a pretty good starting point for what we need. Maybe I'm also going to pull some of these parts a bit in. Or push. In the beginning when I started 3D, I was so confused with how to move around in the scene, but that actually came quite naturally then within, I would say, a week or so of editing regularly, because right now I know sort of how the program basics work, like super well. So moving around the scene and doing like simple stuff has become a lot faster already. I think now we have some sort of a basic look for our dog. Let me see how it looks from the camera. It's way too wide, so I'm gonna actually scale it to be a bit less wide. Could be that I also want to pull it down a tiny bit so it's not so much in the water. Then I'm going to download some sort of a blank texture. Let me also try to keep answering the chat at the same time. Why not Blender? The reason why I'm not using Blender is because I sort of have always been fascinated about the tutorials that I watch about Cinema 4D, and I do not think that Blender is bad. Actually, I think Blender is a fantastic program nowadays. I just decided to go with Cinema 4D and that's it. I'm also financially already invested in Cinema 4D because I'm buying a lot of assets for that and plugins and so on. So I just sort of decided to go with that, and that's it. Let me see if I can find some sort of plank texture from here. Cracked wooden planks, that sounds pretty good for what we need. Also, can you speak English? Yes, I'm speaking English. Last time I pushed render, it said 4 days for it to do it and I had to give up. Yeah, when I did animations, I also had to render for like many days, and then I tried to optimize my scenes and I was able to push some of my animations down to like 16-ish hours, but that's still quite long. Yeah, let me actually see if this works now. So with the bridge, if you want to just export nowadays materials from the bridge to Cinema 4D, you need to go to the settings here and select the render to Octane renderer. If this is not selected as Octane renderer, your Octane won't sort of recognize this material, and if you would go to the node editor here, then it wouldn't show up here at all. So yeah, basically that's what you need to do. And what's good about this bridge thing is that it immediately puts all of your different maps here into Octane node editor for you, so you don't have to manually sort of click everything. Yeah, so let's apply this cracked wood texture into our cube, and at first it will look absolutely horrific, and this is because the tiling is off. So let me actually try to figure out how the tiling needs to be on this. I'm still confused with the tiling sometimes, to be honest. If I put this, okay, so that duplicates it a lot of times. And then this basically, if I put this to 10, then it starts to duplicate too much. So if I put it to 4, that is still sort of acceptable. I don't really like how soft I made the edges here, so I'm trying to see if there's maybe the flatten brush would work for this. So let's, oh, my pressure's way too heavy here on the brush. So let me actually make these edges a tiny bit more harsh again. Something like this. I think there's another brush that would sort of do this job better. Inflate? No, that does the opposite. Well, I'll figure it out at some point. So I'm still very much a beginner in this program. Like, I run into millions and millions of mistakes and problems all the time. But I'm learning as I go, so. Actually, I'm not sure if I like this texture at all on the dog. Let me try another texture. Let me see if there's like wooden planks. That looks a bit too perfect in my opinion. Wooden facade. Or facade, or however you pronounce that. I sort of like this look so much, but it didn't look good on what I created there. What is your setup, PC or Mac, if no one asked you? So I'm working on a PC. I have a really, really fast PC here, but in 3D you need a lot of power. So that's why I was a bit stressed out when I started this stream, if my program will even run. I think this wooden floor is pretty good, so I'm gonna download this one and then export it to Cinema. So export, and then we put this one to the cube. Okay, and this is now the wrong way, so let's put this first to 1, and probably need to come into the node editor. So sometimes if something appears the wrong way, in these textures there's a node called transform, and with this transform you can change the orientation of the material. So now it was basically set like this, so I'm just gonna flip it, I think 90 degrees. Let me actually put 90 as the value there. Okay, and then now if I come here, the material should be applied to it. And here actually, let's see if I need even more than that. It becomes too repetitive. I think 4 looked pretty good, or 3. This just means that the tiling, how many times it basically replicates itself. So if I put this to 5, it replicates the material 5 times. So this needs to be 1 in this case. And yeah, I'm just gonna worry about these materials more at some point, because now I want to move on to the island. And the island, I think I am going to just create with landscape. And I'm going to scale this landscape up a little bit and then push it down. One thing that I'm not really that good yet in cinema is the shortcuts. I don't really use like a lot of shortcuts. My brother is in the chat. Hi, Jonas. Let me make this a little bit less rough. So here in the landscape, I have these different settings that I can determine how rough the landscape will be. So we'll do something like that. And for this, I'm gonna apply, let me apply dirt texture. So I'm gonna go to the soil, and these are already real displacement textures. You can look them up from Google. They're really, really good textures. I think it's sort of an industry standard for people who create landscapes. They just have, the displacement on these textures is just on a whole another level compared to a lot of the textures on the market, and they just look really, really realistic. So yeah, now we have the soil applied to our island, and that the tiling is completely off here as well. So let's do 5 and 5, maybe even 7 and 7. That's just, no, that's too repetitive. Something like that. Okay, so now we have our island here. And I also want to add some rocks to the island. And I found out the best way to do this is to duplicate the landscape and then just apply a different material to this. So I'm going to apply a rock material to that. And I really, really like the rock 7 from Real Displacement Textures. So let's download that into my scene. You actually can't see the materials here in my scene because they are behind my camera view, I believe. Let me see if I can push it somehow so you can see it. Most likely not. I don't really know how to customize the view here a lot. I think I could put it here. Yeah, so now you should be able to see it. I'm not really used to seeing my cinema like that, but now you can at least see what's happening here as well. I think I took the rock material 2 times, so let me delete it once and then apply it to the landscape here. And now you can see that at first it looks horrible because there isn't any displacement on this. Let me actually delete the dirt material as well here. So now I have 2 landscapes. I have the dirt landscape and then the rock landscape, and I can call the node editor, and then I can call to the displacement here, and I can increase the displacement, and it pushes those rocks up from there. But my tiling is again a bit off here. So let me do 3 and 4. Too much. 2 and 3. Still too much. Let's do 2 and 2. Okay, so now you can see a bunch of rocks appearing there. And since I used the displacement, it looks quite nice already. But I'm going to push it actually way more down than that because there's too many rocks now. And let me see if I should displace it even more. I'm going to also adjust my mid-level. And with this mid-level, I can basically just push these up or down. Something like that. Okay, so now I have a bit of rocks. I have a little bit of dirt. And I can actually see some rocks around there, which is sort of cool, but maybe I don't want that many to be visible. So something like that. Okay, so now if I look through my camera here, we have the dock, which I'm definitely going to probably redo or change a lot still. And then we have a bit of dirt, we have a bit of rocks, and the next thing is to add a bit of grass. And I use my content browser for this. So content browser is basically where you can save your own assets. And I have saved my vegetations here. And it could be, I haven't really used this after I created it. And maybe for the sake of the live, I should do it from scratch. I'm actually going to do it from scratch for you so you can see the process. So I'm using Octane, and there's a thing called Octane Scatter, and with this Octane Scatter I can grow basically whatever objects I want on top of a geometry. So I can select here the distribution of the objects that I will put into the scatter to be surface. And we can select our surface to be, for example, this dirt. Let me name this dirt, this rock, and then we're gonna have this our dock. And then I'm gonna group these. So I'll G groups here, and I'm gonna name these again now. Actually, it was sort of unnecessary to name them. And my scatter is gonna be vegetation, and then I'm gonna have my water here. And let's actually group that as well. No. So I try to stay as organized as possible. My organization just comes from Photoshop. I hate when I have my layers unorganized, so Jonas is your brother. Cool. Yeah, Jonas is my real life big brother. It looks more fun than Blender. I don't know. I haven't really checked any Blender tutorials, but I really like how like things come along here in 3D in Cinema 4D. So yeah, what was I at? Adding vegetation. So I'm gonna download some materials from Quixel, and I'm actually gonna go to the purchase ones here. So I have 3D plants, and I'm not gonna do crazy amounts of vegetation or like variety here. So I think we're gonna have this grass, thatching grass, and we don't need it in 4K because it's just grass. So I can select the resolution here. Try to always avoid in 3D using like if you have really tiny elements in your scene, it doesn't make any sense to use high quality textures. I started out by thinking that my computer can handle 8K like textures easily, so I did everything in 8K, and I was wondering like, why does this take 7 days to render? Well, because I was using 8K textures. So now you can see that this put a lot of variation here. So when I exported them, all the different variations of this attaching grass are now visible. And I actually gonna put these outside of my scene, and then one by one, I'm gonna create sort of like a lineup of these plants here. So I think variation 1 is the biggest. So I'm just gonna start moving these so I can see which ones of these grasses we need. So let's just move them one by one next to each other here. And this is also another way to sort of stay organized in your scene, to put your grasses and rocks and whatever you're going to use like next to each other outside of the view. So if I go to my camera, I can't see those grasses, individual grasses. And I actually also like to set up another camera for these. So here I usually would then, let me actually put it, all of these further away. And then I'm gonna set a camera here. So I'm just gonna click here, that sets another camera. I'm gonna name this vegetation variation. So this is the camera for that. So I think now from these, those are enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I probably don't even need the 9. So I'm just going to delete the rest. So this is now enough variation for the first grass. And all I need to do to apply it here to my dirt is to select these, bring them inside my scatter. And then I need to select the surface. So the surface is going to be the dirt here. So let's go to the scatter, apply this to the dirt. And now if I go closer here, you can see that the grass is starting to grow on the render. And we don't have now enough grass yet, and it could be that we also need to adjust some other things here. Right now, some of the grasses are sort of too close to each other, and we're not getting the variation that we need. So I'm gonna increase the count here. You can see now it's adding a lot more grass into our scene. But I don't want it to be so uniform and like everywhere. So I'm gonna basically manipulate the distribution with the noise. And the way how noises work in 3D is exactly how layer masks work in Photoshop. So I can go here to the distribution, add a shader, and if I add a noise here, I can actually show this pretty easily to you. So let's go here to the noise, and I'm gonna bring my materials down a bit so I have more room here. So if I increase the scale first of this noise, let's do like 500. That's too much, 200. And then I clamp the contrast here. You can see that these parts are white and then these parts are black. And if I go to the top perspective, you can see that there's areas where the grass is visible and then areas where it's not visible. So all the areas where there's black here in the shader means that that's where the grass is not going to be visible. So I usually use for my grasses wavy turbulence. And this just gives me a nice sort of mixture of white and black here, and here we're then gonna play around with these settings to see where we want things to be visible and where not. Also, this high clip plays around with the amount of white and this plays around with the amount of blacks. I'm not really too concerned about this because we're gonna add even more variation, so that should do for now. So now we have a bit of grass there, and there's actually a lot of variation, but the problem is that all of the grasses are constantly basically being distributed this way. So how it's basically here in the front, and they're not spinning naturally. So we need to add what is called a randomizer or random effector, which means that all the grasses will spin randomly across the 360 axis. And we can also change the randomization of the size of the grass. So even though we have a lot of variation here, I still want to create that some of the grasses are a bit taller than others with the randomizer. So here in the mode graph, I can go to effectors and I can add a random effector into my effectors here in the scatter. And I'm gonna name this, actually I'm just gonna group this, and let's do randomizers. And here I'm gonna rename this to grass randomizer. And now I can here in the parameters decide how is this gonna randomize the grass. So first off, it's saying that the position is randomized, and that of course looks dumb because I don't want to randomize the height the grass is on. I just want to randomize the rotation and the scale of it. So I'm gonna click on the scale and I'm gonna do uniform scale here, which means that it will scale everything on the XYZ axis the same size. So I'm gonna do 0.2 here. This just gives like 20% difference, I believe, on the size of the grasses. And then if I do this on 360 degrees, then the grasses spin. And that is just a very, very simple, nice thing to make it look more natural. I think we need probably even more grass here. And now we have a good amount of grass. The next thing we need is another set of grasses. So what we can do is duplicate this scatter, and let's do this vegetation too. And then we're going to take a different grass here from the bridge. So let's take, for example, let's go here to the plants. Let me see which one we should use. Maybe some flowers. This white everlasting is usually something that I use, but maybe for this we're going to go with this one. This is a pretty cool grass. So I'm going to export it here to Cinema. And you can see that the material comes with it. And all I need to do is add these lilies that I just exported to the vegetation 2 and delete the original ones that we had there. And of course, that's way too many now. So let's decrease the count. And on top of the counts, we need to also change the noise. And I actually want to change the noise to... Let me see here. I think we're gonna do cell noise, and I am going to put the size to like 0.1. So now this just means that they're gonna be very, very randomized on the scene. So each of these black dots is gonna have a little, actually let me do a bit more. 0.1 is way too low. So something like that. So now you can see that some of these squares will have some of the lilies growing, and then some of the blacks will basically determine where they're not gonna be visible. And I'm also gonna add a shader to the scale. So if I add a noise here to the scale, I can determine how basically, how would I explain this very simply? Basically the areas where there's black means zero growth. And then all the areas where it's white, it means that it's going to be the full size. So this is just going to randomize the size of my other plant here. So let's add this to, let's try blister turbulence. And I am going to do the size to around, let me do like 400, and then increase the contrast here. Something like that, just to have a bit of variation there. And I also don't really like how my rocks are there right now, so maybe I should play around with the orientation of my rock material. So this is the rock around here. So I can spin this, as I said earlier. I'm just going to spin it to the point where I think it looks good. Let me actually go a bit further away and maybe a bit more of a top view so I can see where it will look the most natural. I think actually that looked pretty good what I had. Something like that. And we can even bring the mid-level, actually now I closed it, I still want to go to the node editor, and I can change the mid-level here to push them maybe a tiny bit more down. Something like that. Okay, let me read the chat actually for a while. Will you leave up this live session as a YouTube video afterwards? Yes, I will. Hey, yo, nice island you got there. Thanks, man. I'm just doing some random stuff here. I have no idea how this is going to end up, but we'll see. So now I have a pretty standard, easy island here, but I think I need to change the material on my vegetation here, and I have saved these materials. So which one was this? Thatching grass. So in the live database on the leaf section here, I should have thatching grass. Could be that I don't. If I don't have it, then you're gonna also see how I create this material. So I want this to basically be like a mixture of shiny and a mixture of not shiny. So I need to create a composite material, and I need to arrange this so I can see what is happening here. And I believe we don't really need the translucency here because we're going to create it in the other one. So let's go here to material 1, add a material and then another material. And this composite material basically allows me to mix materials together to create just more optimized results for my grasses, for example. So I'm going to use, we don't need the AO, and then we also don't need the multiply. So we just need these. Okay. And these need to now be plugged into this material, but this needs to be a diffuse material and the other one needs to be glossy, which it is already. And then I'm just going to plug these in. So this is going to be diffuse. Then I'm going to plug in, actually the specular we don't need for this either. Roughness, bump, and normal. And then the opacity of those grasses. And then basically we can unblock them from here. And now you can see here, since I'm unblocking something, it looks completely weird, but this is because we haven't applied the composite material yet. So this is how we're going to have the first material, and then we're going to duplicate all of this. Actually, I think with composite material, I don't even have to duplicate. I can just drag this here. Let's do our roughness, and then our bump, normal, and then the opacity. And I am going to create another color correction here. I'm going to plug this to the transmission basically takes care of the translucency of the material. So this basically just means that the light is going to shine a bit through the grass when I apply it. So transmission is now there. And I think for the transmission, I want a separate color correction, but I don't really remember now how I had it set up on the other materials. I'll check that soon. So something like that. And now with the, I actually have to check how I had it here on one of these. So for example, white everlast. Let Let me download it so I can check the node editor. So I had it in a way that there was a color correction and then another color correction from that to the transmission, and with this I can adjust the brightness. Okay, so that's how I had it set up. So I will go to the attaching grass, no, actually the composite material, and then we're going to add another color correction there. Let's add this to transmission. And then this to the diffuse. So now we have this. And let me actually apply this now to these materials. And the easiest way to do this is to select all of these and then just put it in there. And now you can see that it nicely changes the material. And now you can see we have way nicer translucency here. The light is actually shining through the leaves, causing some of the grasses to be a bit more orange and so on. So this is really, really helpful for us in order to get realistic results. So let's now go back to the node editor and refine this further. So now we have the translucency. With the brightness here, I can determine how much the light shines through. So if I put this to 1, the light shines through quite a bit, and I think that is the effect that we really want here. And we're going to do the exact same that we did now for this also to the other plant, because we don't have any translucency for this plant yet. So this is now how that works. And I think I also had like a random color here on the, or in these ones I actually didn't have it. But I think on my grass I had it. So if I go to my database and I download my grass, which is small grass, download. Let's see how we had the random color set up here. Okay, so we had a mixed texture from 2 color corrections, and the amount was a random color. And the random color just determines, okay, so that's simple. So let me go to the composite material. I'm actually going to delete. No, I'm not going to delete it. I'm just going to rename this real thatching. I'm still a bit confused with the workflow with the materials, because sometimes when I delete something, it deletes like also it from my other materials. So I need to actually stay a bit more organized with that. So I think this color correction is actually useless soon if we use the mix. So I think we need a mix node and then 2 color corrections. And these are going to plug into the texture 1 and the texture 2. And now basically what we're going to get is that we are going to get a random color between the values that I set here. So I'm going to set the other one to be a bit more green and the other one to be a bit more orange. So this way the random color just determines how these colors are applied here in the texture. So I can add the random color from here and apply to the amount, and then plug this into the diffuse. And then I don't need this color correction anymore. But what I can do is that I put another color correction here and then plug this into the transmission. So this should work now. Okay, so I am going to make this side a bit more green. Maybe not that much. Actually, I want to be very subtle with this. And then I'm going to set this to be a bit more orange. So now we're going to have some of the grass is a bit more orange and some of the grass is a bit more green. I at least hope that it works like this. I'm not 100% sure if I remember it right. But now our grass looks already a bit nicer. I can actually change the direction of my light a little bit so we can see a bit better how it shines. Here you can really start to see the differences. So it might seem really complex, but basically all I'm doing is I am making the grass look just a tiny bit more like real, because if I would just apply a normal green texture here, then it will look too computer generated. But by applying that random color effector here, it now picks up a random color between green and orange and creates the variation here. So now we have to do the same to the lily that we did. So before I do that, I'm gonna read the chat. Sorry, I've been really lacking with that. So let me see if there is something here. Have you saved your project recently? No, I haven't. Let's save it right now. Save project. There we go. So what do we do then? This is pretty much the same setup that we had. So I don't need the translucency here. And I don't need the specular here. I'm going to do another composite material. Add a material here and add a material here. I think I could also do it with mixed materials, or I could do it with mixed materials. But if I do it by mixing two materials together with the mixed material, then I will have 3 different materials that I have to constantly keep here on my panel. And with the composite material, I can only keep 1. And this is really, really important for me. The AO we don't need, the multiply we don't need. And then we just start blocking this in. So this has to be a diffuse material. And diffuse material, as I said, just means that it's not going to shine. And the glossy material basically shines really nicely. And mixing these two together, we get some really nice results. So let's do actually the random color thing here now as well. I could probably copy it from the other one, but it's good to see now this again. So 2 color corrections. These are going to be mixed with the mix node. So we're going to mix these 2 together. And then the values are going to be determined not with the noise. I need a random color. Now I actually removed also my mix. So let's plug that back in. So texture 1, texture 2, random color, and then another color correction node here. And then we can basically start plugging these in. So diffuse, then this one goes to transmission, so we can separately adjust how much of translucency we have. And then I think we would just start blocking these in normally. So this is the roughness, this is the bump, normal, and opacity. And then we need to do the same for the other one. But for the other one, we don't plug in the translucency. So let's plug in the diffuse, then the roughness, bump, normal, and opacity. So that's pretty much it. Then we're going to change the color corrections. I'm actually going to this time make it in a way that the other side is a bit darker and a bit more green. And the other side is a bit brighter and a bit more yellow. So that should, in theory at least, work out. And then I can determine the translucency from here. And also, if I want to make the material look a bit more wet, I can increase the gamma on my roughness. And this should work out. Okay, well, let's apply this now so we can see if that worked out. So this is now the lily. So let's do this lily and apply it to these. So now I'm actually going to show you the difference. Usually Quixel has pretty good materials applied these to already, so the difference here might not be that big. And I just like to do them myself. So there you can see. Just a bit more natural in my opinion. It's a bit too bright though, so maybe I will go to the node editor and increase the green here a bit more. And then desaturate both of these and increase the gamma. See now, yeah, that looks a bit better. Did I do it too much? I think I did. Let me also try to add more of this. Actually doesn't do anything right now, which could mean that I have something plugged in wrong. Which wouldn't definitely be the first time. So the random color mix. Does this work? Yeah, it does work. So there shouldn't be an issue with that. Okay, I'm gonna leave it as it is for now, because we need more grass. And I'm actually going to now use, now that you saw me doing that, I'm gonna use my small grass that I have here. But it could be that the small grass actually does not work. I'm also lagging a lot right now, so I'm gonna save. Yeah, so my small grass is not really working out. So it could be that I just will use the normal grass from Octane. So let's duplicate the vegetation once more. Let's make this tree. And then we will delete everything that is in there. And we're gonna add a normal grass with a plugin called Forester. So I'm gonna add this into our third. And now you can see we have some grass here already. So let's insert new materials, reset these materials, and then I am going to do wild grass patch. Okay, that's first off way too much and the material sucks. So I'm going to go to my live database and I have a grass texture here. I think I'm gonna use the oak leaf texture that I created because this should work just fine. Clearly works just fine. Why isn't this working? Oh, has it broken somehow? Yeah, so I've lost my leaf there. I think the composite material just messes up a lot of things for me. I should probably continue using mixed materials instead if this keeps happening. Okay, then we're just gonna use another texture, so I'm gonna delete this. Let me actually remove unused materials. But this could also mess up a lot of things. Hopefully not. Okay, good. So, what do we use here? Could we just use the lily? Okay, seems to be working, so I'm just gonna use the same texture so I don't have to do it again. So, a lot less, of course. And a different noise. A bit less contrast. And now a lot less. Still a lot less. Okay, it doesn't look the most natural, but now we have our island. That took forever to create, but there you go. Now we have somewhat a realistic island there. What are some YouTubers you learned from that you recommend? I've learned from iDesign, and then I have learned from Punisher, or I'm not sure if it's called like that. Then the Dizzy Viper, and also I have learned from Joss Pierce. So those are, I would say, those are the main people I've learned from, and they have a bunch of free tutorials available on YouTube. So I would highly recommend checking those to get an idea of how this program works. So this dog looks horrible. We need to work on that more. But I think what I'm going to do right now is to create some trees here. And this is exciting. So the trees are also created with the scatter. And I am going to put these, actually this is going to be the grass scatters. So grass scatters, and then we're going to have this inside and all, and this is going to be tree scatters. And trees can get very heavy really quickly, so I won't add a lot of trees. I'm actually probably going to use my expansion pack for this that I have for Forester. And let me think, what type of trees do we want here? There's a bunch of different ones. that I could go with. But if we think that we're gonna put a house there, and then it's gonna be sort of in the middle of those trees, I think the best way to do it would be maybe Norway maple, and then add in some sort of a pine tree in there as well. Let me test this. So I'm going to take a Norway maple, and I'm gonna add the materials to this tree. And at first it's way too big, so let's make the tree a bit smaller here from the tree settings. Actually, I think something like this is good. And for some reason, a lot of trees, they have really short trunks, and thank God we can change that. So if I go here to trunk parameters, I can go to the trunk height and increase that a little bit to get a bit more of a natural look on it. And I think we can then just boost this up to 5. So not right now we don't see any leaves, but if I pump this to 5, then we should see some leaves appearing. There we go. So now we have a tree. So we have an island and we have a tree, and then we have to just figure out how will we make this look good. I'm a bit lost, to be honest, but it's okay. I don't want this many leaves, so I'm going to go to the leaves, and then I am going to take, maybe I will keep this amount of leaves, but I found out that by taking the sides to 1, actually that didn't do anything. I think it was the segments. So taking the segments to 1, no, it wasn't the segments either. Which was it? Let me check. So basically what I'm trying to do is just to bring my geometry down here a little bit so I can handle the scene a bit better. I think there was a way to do this, but I'm not 100% sure now. Maybe if I bring my viewport levels to 4 and then start growing my leaves on 3. That works, but then we don't really have that many. That helps a bit, but still looks a bit awkward. Maybe if we increase the amount of branches we have on the tree. So let's go here and do 15. Or will this that's pretty good. So we went down from 3.5 million to 1.4 million. The tree maybe looks a bit worse, but still I think I can pull it off like this. I have no idea how many people are watching this stream, but I don't really care. I'm thankful if even one person is watching me do this. And hopefully it's interesting, although I'm not explaining everything in depth. And please ask questions if you have any. I'm really happy to answer any questions. And I probably will start to stream also more often, because I feel like that pushes me even more to create. I think our scale is completely off here. I'm actually gonna take this dock off for a while. I don't really like how it looks. Let me see how far away have we pushed this island. So let me take all of these. Actually, I just need the rock and dirt and the maple, and we're gonna push these more behind here. What is this? Oh, the lilies, I forgot to put them there. So let's go to grass scatters and vegetation 2, I believe. And then let's move all of these lilies to our scattered elements here. Then I'm just gonna put these next to each other to stay a bit more organized. That's good. Maybe this grass patch thing can stay there, I don't care. It's not really too annoying for me. So now we have 1 tree, but of course we want more trees. So I'm gonna put this tree inside the scatter, and I'm gonna choose the dirt as my, what am I doing? Dirt as my surface. And now there's way too many trees. Let's do like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And I'm going to show you now one technique to determine where these trees are going to be visible, because right now I could just go in there and select exactly the spots where I want these trees to be in. But I think for this, I only need to determine at what height will this tree start growing from. Because right now this tree is in the water and I hate that. So I can go to the randomizers and I can add another effector. And effectors basically mean rules on how basically things work. So here I can add an effector for what height the trees will grow on, or how the grass will be randomized, or at what height the grass will grow on, or where the grass will grow on. So these are just basically rules to determine how your elements will work in your scene. And I don't know even half of these. Like, I haven't really used them. I just used the plane and the randomizer. And also I've used the shader before, I think. And I've actually, I think I've also used, I think that's it. I haven't really used a lot of these. Yeah, like half of these things that are here in the menus, I have zero clue yet what they do, but so far I haven't really needed them. So no, I don't need the random effector, although it would be good to spin our trees as well. So maybe I do need a random effector. Let's do this trees. And this effector is going to be scaled. I think I'm going to scale like 0.1, and then I'm going to rotate it 360. So now the trees are slightly different sizes, and also they will rotate, so they're not all the exact same. Okay, so let's put this randomizer to the scatter of my tree. So now you can see that they appear a bit different. And then I'm going to add another effector, and this is going to be a plane effector. And this plane effector, I'm going to use a linear field. And I'm going to put it to y, I think y minus is what I need. So basically, without making this too complicated, I'm going to explain it. Let me put this like 5. So to not make this too complicated, we have a field here, which determines at what height the trees will start growing on. Or basically, even easier way to explain it is to show and then try to simplify it as much as we can. So I need to apply this randomizer, the plane, to my scatter. So let's put this into the trees. So now the higher I bring, not the tree, the plane. And actually one thing that I forgot to do here is that I need to set the scale to -1. So now, if I bring this all the way down, you can see that now everything above, I think it is like that, yeah. So everything above this will be like basically the area where the trees can grow, and everything below this line will be scaled to size -1, which means that they're not visible. And if I go out of my camera view here, you can see that it's basically just a field. And the lower I bring it, the more trees will be visible, and the higher I bring it, then they will be gone. Because anything above this will be +1, or basically visible, and everything below it will be -1, in other words, not visible. So I can put it just barely above the horizon here, so we get our trees on there but not in the water. I think that's it. And I also don't like how my trees are like growing sideways. So I can go to the Octane scatter of the trees and I can change this normal align. And having them completely straight is never like a good idea, so I'm gonna change that a tiny bit. Okay, that's it. And then I can play around with the seed of my scatter here. So it basically just displays the trees differently. And I might need to create another rule here or add more trees soon. I don't really have a lot of models for the, what am I trying to say? The houses. I think I have only one that I've already used in a few renders before. I don't think I'm gonna start modeling anything on my own in this live, so let's actually try upping this a little bit. Does it become too hectic with so many trees? It's pretty cool. We definitely need a bit of like bushes and stuff here so it doesn't look so uniform. Because right now it looks a bit too computer generated to my eye. So let's actually go to my content browser and add this hut here. I've used this in a lot of my renders recently. It's like a 100% free hut that I found from online. And I definitely do not like this bottom area. So let's go to the part of this. Yeah. So I'll need to remove these. Let me see if this works. Yeah. So clicking, selecting, and then hitting UW basically selects everything that is connected to those polygons. That's a pretty helpful tip that I've learned. I don't remember from who, but it's a very helpful tip because what I can basically do now is just hit delete. No, here. And then it deletes those things that I didn't need. So now it's a much more usable hut. And I am going to bring this hut on our island. We can scale it down. And let's put this island. Actually, let me take my tree. I hate that my tree is here in the scene, so I'm gonna move this tree to my scatters. There. Okay, so now I can see a bit better what I'm doing. So let's put this hut here. There we go. Now we have a hut there. Actually, I'm probably going to scale it in this size a little bit. And let's rotate it a bit. And then put it down here. There we go. So now we have a little hut. And we have trees. Next thing I'm going to add is a sky. Right now we don't have anything else than the sunlight in our sky. So basically we have these things called HDRIs. And I have bought a bunch of these. Actually, Shindo, I'm not sure if Shindo is here still. But he and I had a little call when I started 3D. And he showed me a bunch of different assets that are really cool. So I have bought a lot of those and I've fallen in love to use those. So thanks for that. Let's add the sky. I have actually everything here in my content browser. So if I go here to the skies, I can select different packs. Let me see, where did I actually have this one really cool sunset sky that I always like to use. One sky that I really like to use is also this one, which could, or is it this one? I should save. Every single time cinema like lags even for a while, I get scared if I haven't saved in a long time, because that basically means that it could crash any moment. But right now, like I applied the sky here, but it's not showing. And the reason why it's not showing is that I have to go to my sunlight here and I have to mix my sunlight with the sky texture. When I click on that, it will add my sky here, and at first it will look horrible. So what I'm gonna do, it might be that I don't even use sunset for this, but I will try it out. So where's my sky? I'm actually gonna bring it down here. And let's rotate it. Let's try to see where do we want our sun to come from. That's pretty cool. But I'm not sure if it matches that well with the style I made the grass. So I might actually change the sky. Yeah, I'm not really a fan of that sky. Let me try another one. I mean, for this project, I might use a day sky. I'm not watching to learn, I'm watching to get inspired. I'm new to Blender as well, so I want to know how much you learned so far. Yeah, I'm not really even explaining anything in detail, so I think it would be quite hard to like learn. But I think I'm also down to do some tutorials, but my explanation skills for the stuff that I do here is not yet at least like super advanced. So I couldn't really explain everything in like great detail, but maybe doing some like simple tutorials I could do. But we'll see along the way. I really like these lives because this gives me the freedom to just show some things and create at the same time. Remember, you used to drink a lot of coffee in your old office. I have never drunk coffee in my life. So I think this is a smoothie that you're talking about that I always used to drink through my lives. What was I doing? Immediately when I look at the chat, I forget what I was doing. So I'm clearly very beginning with this live thing. Which one do we now use? I have so many skies that it's sometimes hard to decide which one I go for. I definitely don't want like a pure day. Something in between. Alien skies. I haven't even opened these before, I think. These seem pretty cool. There's even a northern light one. This one? Could look horrible, but I will try. It's actually pretty cool. It's a bit too yellow, but I think I can fix that. But I want something a bit more blue. I should probably download some sort of a plugin that helps me to toggle between these skies easier. I know there is a plugin for that. I just haven't downloaded it. What about this sky? I know it's a sunset, but still, it looks sort of cool. I think nothing really looks that good yet because I don't have any fog in my scene. But I definitely do not want to have everything be that dark. What about an overcast sky? I've never really used these. I don't really like the look of them, but I will try it on this. Ew, that's ugly. You drank something, I don't know. Yeah, I used to drink a lot of stuff in my office, but not coffee and not alcohol. Where is winter skies? I'm having a really hard time deciding which sky I will go for, as you can see. This one. But I want like something sort of daytime. But a lot of these are way too bright. Probably need to darken them or bring the power of them down or something. I don't really know how to use some of these that well. What are these? I want to try these. I've never applied a galaxy sky. Clearly doesn't work that well. Maybe it needs to be brighter. I want to see how it looks. What? Where are the stars? I guess it's just massive, the sky. Let me try to rescale this. UE transform. Here we go. Okay, so it is a bit awkward. It doesn't really look that good. Funny. Yeah, I haven't really used those before. Hey, I think this one is something that we need. But now I need to take the... How can I get back to the node editor now? Here. Take the transform node off. And also we need to rotate it. Yeah, I think we found our sky. Power needs to be 1. And then our gamma a bit darker. And then let's rotate this. I want the sun definitely to come from the right. Could it be cool if it comes from behind? I haven't decided yet, so we'll see. Okay, but I also think our background looks awkward because we can see the horizon like that. So the horizon definitely needs something more there as well. Let's add fog at this point. I think fog always is such a massive difference on the scene, and it also often gives me more ideas on what I want to achieve. But with the fog, this is the thing that usually crashes cinema always. So I like to increase this voxel size, which basically determines how many points, I think, how many points or how small the fog particles are. So I can scale this now that I increased it quite a bit. I can make it the size of my whole scene, also make it a bit higher. So now you can see that we have some fog forming here. And I don't want it to start immediately in the beginning. And I can also feather the edges here. Often I don't see any difference by feathering it, but I know it does something. So I just slide that slider. Then I need to do some things here. So absorption, I need to put to a white color so the light passes through it better. And then the scattering also needs to be white. And that already helps a lot. But it looks horrible, so I need to bring the density down. And if I increase the scattering phase, you can see if I bring it to 0, not a lot of light like the particles don't really catch a lot of light. If I increase this, it lets more light through there. And this volume step length sort of does the same thing. I don't really remember the exact explanation for the volume step length, but I usually don't increase this a lot because it makes everything look super, super bright with the sunlight. So I usually don't play around with that as much. I just play around with the density. And it looks weird now, but when I go closer here, you can see that this makes a very big difference on the feeling of the scene. Can you make like a loop of same scene but in different seasons? I probably could, but that would take me multiple days. So I am not going to do that here in the live. I love that scene. I made a similar one a few months back. I want to make it again now. Yeah, I don't know. I thought of, like, I sort of had to think of something when I started this live. So I decided to go with this. We'll see how it looks at the end. But thank you. Why don't you render it without the environment and add it in posts? I have done that before, but I just have so many great skies to choose from that I sort of like to create my scene based on that. Like the sky, I select the lighting and everything. Octane fog sucks. You should make custom fog. I actually like the Octane fog myself a lot. Other than, I mean, it's quite slow, but other than that, I really like it. Actually, if I select a color here to the absorption, you can see that we can make the scene more blue. But I'm not sure if I want that. And also, I think I want more yellow, to be honest, on the fog. Yeah, so let's go for like a golden look this time. And I think this volume step length also, was it this that passes the light through better? I think so, because the more I decrease it, the less I see highlights here. And the more I increase it, the more the light passes through from there. And then I just have to play around with the scattering so it doesn't become overexposed. Something like that. Okay, so now we have our fog. I'm going to turn it off. So you can see the difference is pretty crazy when you turn it on and off. We also definitely need a light inside our cabin, so let's do that now. So I have this Octane light here. I can just turn this. And I can push this light into the cabin. And I'm actually gonna go out of my camera, into the cabin. And this is what I love about 3D, is that you can like go into stuff and modify everything however you want it to look. So where is this light? It's right now there. So if I want it to be natural, I would probably put it actually to the ceiling. So then we would have more natural light coming out. But what we can also do here is, should we use a spotlight so we can have a fog on the light? I'm not sure. Let's just do it like this now. Also don't want it to be visible in the scene itself. I'm gonna lift it, rotate it, and what I also love about 3D is that lights work in the same way as in real life. The bigger the light source, the softer shadows are. The smaller the light source, the sharper the shadows are. So I will probably keep it like this, but I'll change the color of it. And maybe I can even change the, should I do a sphere? Yeah, I'm gonna do a sphere because that illuminates the whole inside like a light would in real life. So I'm gonna use that. So Shindo explained now the volume step length. The step length will increase the travel distance of the light depending on the size of your fog volume. Small step length will make the light bounce on the surface of the volume instead of going through it. Okay, so that makes total sense. So basically I, in my scene, then have to increase it in order to let more light pass through. Let's go to the light settings. I think I can decrease the temperature, but that makes usually a too yellow look. So what I like to do is add an RGB spectrum to this light from the nodes. And now this allows me to control the color of the light. And I usually go for an orange-ish look. Even almost red. Something like that. And then I can increase the power here. I know the temperature to change to look a little bit more. And I want to hide this. So let's see, camera visibility. Now the light is off, so it's still there, but it's not visible for the camera, which is really cool. Let's see if we can see anything. This is the wrong camera, so here. Yeah. So now we have light. And it looks pretty good. Except in the water it looks horrible. So I think what we need to do, I don't understand why they actually made it like this, that in the water reflection the light looks always different. So here I can now see that reflection of the sphere. So I need to go to the light and I think decrease the general visibility to 0. The opacity to 0. That does nothing. Take surface brightness off. No. I don't really know. Yeah, these are the type of issues I do run into quite often still. I don't really understand some of the things, how they work. But I think this is gonna change a lot when I add the fog again. No, in the reflection it's still white. Why is that? I think I fixed it once, but then I'm not sure what I did. Usually the way how I find the problem is by just clicking on these buttons. Is the temperature? Did I make it too? No, it is not the temperature. So transparent emission turned the light off. Visible on specular. That's it. Okay, so I found it. The visible on specular made it. If I click on this, it's white. And if I click it off, then the light shows. So that seems to work now just fine. Let me add the other type of tree here. So let's go to my expansion pack. The reason why I use the expansion pack a lot is because it comes with materials installed. So I don't have to worry about those. I'm actually going to use some slash pines here because this is more of like a Nordic look. And I think I would imagine that something like this would be further up north. So let's change that. But actually the pine trees would most likely be quite a lot taller. I think we're gonna find out by just adding it to the scatter. And then bringing this tree to our vegetation variation. What is happening? There we go. Let me bring this here. That's our second tree. There we go. Now we can see it here. I did that very complicated, but that's it. Let's increase our viewport levels to 4 and let's see how far this pushes the geometry. 4 million. I think we can optimize this again. So let's go to leaves and let's do leaf segments 2. That should decrease it a lot. Okay, so now we've got almost 1 million rid and it looks exactly the same still. And then we can go to the branch levels. There's insertion count in the first one, 43. If I put this to like 30, let's see what that does. Does it make the tree look completely stupid? No, the tree in my opinion looks fine and we only have 2 million now at this point. So that's fine. I don't really like how many or how strong these are, so I might actually can I do the leaf size here? Oh, here. So let's do this to 4. It was multiplying these pines basically times too many, so let's do 3. I just want to see like how far can I optimize it so our scene is easier to handle, because it's stupid to keep unnecessary geometry in your scene. And in the beginning I didn't really understand that, but now I do. I also think our randomizer or field could be like a bit more down. Oops. I mean, it's not too bad. I think the pines are now just way too big. So I also don't like how thick the trunk is. Let's make the tree a bit smaller. Not that small. Okay, so something like that. But I need to play around with the seed a lot. Let's try different seeds. Okay, that's quite interesting. That's also pretty good, but now we have only pine trees. I think adding it to this scatter was a bad idea. Maybe we should create another scatter for this. Yeah, I'm gonna do that because it's stupid like that. Let me duplicate the scatter and delete this from here and then delete this from there. And now we have it scattered. We can determine the amount of this tree separately. So let's do like 5 of those. And the field is now wrong. My brother said that he's been watching the whole time. What should I do now? I'm lost. And although my scene is organized, I have all of these things open, which makes it seem unorganized. So. I think I'm gonna move away from doing the island now for a while and do the background. And I think for the background, I am just gonna do simple landscapes. There we go. Let's put it to the back. Actually, I'm also gonna make my water plane way bigger. So water, and let's make this way bigger. Gonna do like maybe 12,000 by 25,000. Yeah. What is this here? Oh, it's the landscape that I just created. So now from here, from this camera, are we getting the whole width? I think we have to make it even more wide. 15,000? Yeah. So now it's going nicely across. But our water changed quite a bit because we have to increase the tiling of our water. Actually, we need to do it way more than that because this is a big plane. So let's do 5 and 5. Or even 8 and 8. Yeah. So now the water looks a tiny bit like it did. Add some VDBs to your scatters. Actually, I tried adding. Why isn't it possible to scatter VDBs? Is it because scattering is only meant for like geometrical objects? Because I wasn't able to add it to my scene. What was I doing? I'm completely confused. So I was doing the landscape. I'm gonna push these landscapes actually quite far, maybe not all the way behind there because then the fog will hide them. But I will make it like this. And if I do I want to scatter some trees there? Yes, I do, but I'm most likely gonna scatter low poly trees. So something like that. Probably it's a good thing actually. Yeah, I agree. Computers would crash way too much if you couldn't. I mean, if you could, meant to say. Let's change the seed. Again, these are super far away, so I don't think it makes any sense to have that much geometry there. So let me do like 30 and 30. Even less. Do I need that much? I'm always a bit confused with how like far should I push them, but I don't want like any. This like looks a bit too sharp already. Maybe by bringing the rough furrows and fine furrows down. Yeah, that's good enough for me. I'm gonna add 2 of these landscapes and change the seeds of these. And actually, you can duplicate elements here in Cinema 4D by just hitting Control and then dragging from these arrows. Then it duplicates the thing that you have selected. Where's the seed? Here. Let's change the seed to something. I want it to be in a way that the left side is taller than the right side. So it sort of like drops into the right side. Like that maybe. I mean, I could also just make it bigger. Or rotate it. So here we go. Now I'm going to rotate it because I got what I wanted. Is there, by the way, a way to flip without having to like use the rotate tool? I don't know if there is. I hope there would be. I'm pretty sure there is. I'm actually going to do a tweet quickly that I'm live here. So people who are following me on Twitter also get a notification, although most likely it's the exact same people who follow me on Instagram, but still. How should I do this? Should I do like video? No. Retake. Well, let me do it like this. Oh, Twitter sucks for like the tools on Twitter to like post and do images is super bad. So I'm going to do it like this and then just take the image. Like that. And then I can crop it. On Twitter you always need to crop the image, otherwise it look idiotic. So let's crop this. Actually now I'm so far from the microphone they probably don't even hear me anymore. Done. Okay. The most horrible image I could have ever taken, but whatever. There we go. Add streaming 3D. I have 2 months of experience. No, I don't have to write that. Streaming 3D. And watch me create something random. No. Where's the link to this stream? There. Can someone say how many people was watching this stream? Most likely not that many anymore. Yeah, on the object itself, normally it's on +Y, I think. So how, like for example, this landscape, if I click on this, orientation, there we go. That's easy. I thought it would be way harder to do that because I watched one tutorial when someone flipped something and it seemed way more complicated. This is so awesome. Where did you learn to do this? Any recommendations for someone wanting to get started? Just go to YouTube. Honestly, I have recently sort of shifted away from YouTube, but I'm doing more courses now from ArtStation. And those have been way more helpful than any YouTube tutorial I watched. So I definitely recommend watching those. I don't really remember what this one course was that I watched. It was a landscape course where I learned a lot of useful like little tricks. They weren't really big things, but they were like little things that helped me to improve my workflow. Also, there's actually that many people watching. I mean, why are they so different? Someone is saying 200 and someone is saying 177, but that is incredible. Thank you everyone for watching this. Hopefully you have enjoyed watching it, although I'm moving very quickly on certain areas and not really explaining everything thoroughly. But after I'm done with this live, or even now, just give me feedback on what I could improve immediately with the streaming thing, because I'm most likely going to do this more often. And right now I feel quite clueless with it. I'm also going to buy then a streaming deck so I can just shift between the scenes a bit easier. And I think for these, now I should hit Shift 1. There we go. I'm a streamer. Okay. So, let me finish this tweet. Streaming 3D, come hang and watch me create something random. Tweet. There we go. There we go. Okay. So, we are with the landscapes. Let me zoom in here and change again this back to that scene. So let me look through our main camera now. So that actually looks horrific or horrible, I meant to say. So let me scale those down, and I will put them all the way behind there now that I think about it. So they will be there, and then I can scale them a bit. I should use the shortcuts for these. I always forget. Okay, so something like that. So now on both sides, if I open this camera, they should be looking pretty good. I think with the fog it will look better, and with some trees scattered there. I'm also thinking, should I like do layered background or even like some mountainery behind here? But I think I'm gonna keep it simple and flat like this. Let me apply some sort of a random texture there. I think because the fog will hide a lot of it, I'm just gonna add a simple rock texture. But I think I only have 4K textures. Have you thought about loop deck over stream deck? I have not. I don't really know what a loop deck is. I will check it soon. Actually, I will check it right now, because why not? How can I open another browser here now? There we go. I will show here so you can see. Loop deck. What is this thing? Loop deck live. I think this is the thing that you mean. So these I could then just click and change between things. What do these knobs do? Stream deck. Yeah, this is what I see most people using, Elgato Stream Deck. And I'm not even sure for what would I use it for. Scenes, and then maybe in the future I will also do some sort of like transitions here on the, like if I hit like shift 1 or shift 2, that the transition here would be nicer, like maybe some sort of a short animation between these, because right now it's just a fade. So I could change that as well at some point, but I don't know enough about streaming yet to do that, so I will just do some research after the stream. Okay, now we're here. Let me just put, maybe a normal diffuse material is good enough for those. I would just go here, create, no, actually Octane material, create diffuse material. I could have also clicked here. And let's just change this to be like darkish blue. Something like that. I'm gonna apply it to the landscapes. And then I am going to turn my fog on. And there we go. Now we have some mountains on the background, but this one looks a bit too spiky, so maybe I will increase these segments. Like having 50 segments is not too bad. My computer can easily handle 50 segments. Something like that. And then I want low poly trees there. And what is good about this expansion pack that I bought is that it has low poly trees. So I'm gonna just select the most easygoing tree from here, which is most likely not a pine tree, but if there's nothing else, I will use that. I want it to be this. Yeah, perfect. Looks absolutely horrible, but they're so far away that it will look good when it's further away. Yeah, that looks completely fine, especially considering that it will be like literally that far away. So I'm gonna actually combine these into one landscape. So I can use this as the scattering element. And then I'm going to put this low poly tree to my layers here. I'm not sure if this makes any sense to put them into like different spots, but I found out that keeping everything organized helps me a lot in creating. So having that there is good enough. And then I am going to apply this to a scatter. So 3 scatters, let's duplicate this. I'm gonna do low poly, delete this pine from there, add this inside. And then my distribution is gonna be this landscape that I created. And the count is gonna be way up. So now, actually now I'm gonna reset my view here, and then I'm gonna go to the main camera. And that's, of course, way too many trees. So we need to change that. But actually, before I change that, I am quickly going to go pee. So I'll be back in a few seconds. Okay. Let's see. Flex the GPU on us. But how could I show it? How could I show the computer itself? I mean, most of you have probably seen it who's watching this right now. It's like a Stream Deck, but also has editing tools for all editing softwares. Oh, so you could probably use it in like Lightroom to adjust sliders and so on. Then how much is the expansion pack? I think this expansion pack wasn't even expensive. It's like 70 euros, I think. And considering Forester itself is like 400, 70 euros on top of that, having that many trees and different like things is pretty good. But hey, I really need to pee, so I'll be back soon. All right, have a good time peeing. Thank you. It was very good pee. So let's now scale this tree down. We don't need this tree to be that big. Also, I think it's really laggy now because I haven't saved again in ages. I think it's really laggy because we have so many trees. So let's scale this tree down. Maybe from the tree size I need to do it. So from here. Hi there. So from here I need to now change something because that looks horrible. Basically what I'm just trying to achieve here is some really small trees here. So I think my tree size has to be even lower. Yeah, like something like this. And then I'm gonna add, maybe I'm gonna actually make the trunk, not radius, but the height, like bigger. I could also do this in Photoshop, but I mean, I'm just gonna do it now here because why not? Yo. So let's, I think I'm gonna add a randomizer here. Oh, you can't see. Sorry. There we go. Yeah, I forget that. Probably will forget it when I start to stream more often, like all the time. Actually, Jonas just called me as well, probably to tell me that that you weren't seeing anything. So let's add the randomizer now into here. So mocraf, effector, random. I should probably create some sort of template on these as well, so I don't have to always drag them again. Random low poly. I think one of the biggest things you people who are watching this now can take off from this is that keep your scene as organized as possible, so it doesn't take forever to find stuff from here, because it doesn't work in the same way as in Photoshop. In Photoshop it works in a way that anything that is on top of something appears also in the image on top of something, but in 3D it doesn't matter if something is on top here in the layer panel, because it's all three-dimensional. So I can have, for example, my water all the way up here and it wouldn't change the scene at all. So I think in 3D it's even more important to stay organized. And now I'm gonna randomize the scale of the Y for these trees by, like, I would say even by 100%, like 0.7, 70%. And let's rotate them as well, why not? So let's add this now to the low poly randomizer effector there. And I'm gonna take this randomizer off and the plane effect off. So now we have some randomized heights there. And then we are just gonna increase the amount, and maybe we even add another tree from the expansion pack. So let's add another type of tree, for example the pine trees. And let's add the materials to it. Let's put it inside here. Whoops, that's a bit too big. So again, let's move this to the side. I'm gonna make it way smaller. So tree parameters and tree size, way smaller. Okay. And then vegetation variation, let's bring this here. And then the main camera. Actually, let's go out of the main camera here. Okay, so now we have a bit of variation on the trees. And then all we have to do is increase the count. Something like that. And maybe I will make this actually even higher, the trunk height. So we have some of those trees peeking through from there as well. I mean, it looks a bit stupid now because I randomized it as well, but I think since it's so far away, maybe increasing the trunk radius will help to sell this effect a bit better. Yeah, I think from further away that's completely fine. Like from close it naturally looks horrible, but if I now go further away, we have some natural looking faded tree mountains behind there, and that was literally sort of unnecessary because I could have done it in Photoshop, but I mean, that's it. It sort of looks cool, the thing, but I don't really like how the overall like lightness of it is right now, and we don't have the dock here yet either. So let's try to play around with that a little bit, maybe even change the sky. I'm gonna change the sky. Content browser, and then we choose a random sky from here now. I'm gonna do this quick. So let's go to winter skies. No, it's actually alien skies. This sky is pretty good, but then there's another one that is really good, which is in the CG2 back. This one. I really like this sky. So we're gonna add this here. And it better look good. Well, this just increase the golden look of the scene a lot. Not sure if it actually looks better. But if I increase the brightness of it a bit. Maybe we decide that later, after all. So right now, we will create the dock. That's our next step. And also the fog looks quite bad still. I need to play around with this a lot to get some better results. Maybe even change the main perspective a little bit. And so that I won't waste a lot of time here, I want to see if I can find a free model from Turbo Squid, for example. This would save a lot of our time. Let's see, dock. Yeah, dock structure, something like that. I'm sure we can find like a free one. They have quite a lot of free ones, so free, quite a lot. Just when I said it's literally only a few free ones. $199 for one dock. No, thank you. Don't need those. Maybe I can use some of these as inspiration for how our dock is gonna look like. Because maybe I could, after a model for like a quick while. Which GPU are you running? I'm running the GTX 3080, the tough gaming model. Actually, should probably show my PC here, but then it's a bit complicated because I'm actually, I have my R5, Canon EOS R5 here as the camera that you're seeing, and I'm just simply using the mirroring thing, EOS utility tool, to sort of use it here in the stream. So if I mean, it should work. Yeah. So it's very, very high quality. And I was thinking I probably need a capture card at some point. But for now, this worked perfectly because I cropped the scene in a way that you can't see. Maybe on the very right side, you can see a little bit of gray because it's cropped. But here we can see now. So there's a bit of ropes. So what we could do is forget these parts, but have these ropes go across these tubes or these like wooden parts, and then we could simply just create some planks there, maybe with the clone. Or hey, now I got an idea. Okay, here we go. So the way I'm gonna do this is I will turn my trees and stuff off because they are consuming our scene a bit too much. So the way how this is gonna work is, I think I have seen something like this before. So I can create a spline. So I can go here to the water. I can enable snapping, and let's do polygon snap. So it snaps on those polygons. Actually, we don't have a lot of polygons in this, so we probably need to add, let's add like 50 should be enough for this because it's literally 500. It's again, I forgot, sorry. So what I need to do is create a spline here. So let me do a sketching tool, I guess. I think it's a sketch tool. Yeah. So let's draw a line here. I actually want to go to the top view, I believe. So top. This either works or it will look horrible. I haven't done it before, so I will just draw like a rough line here to the island, like that. And I can smoothen it a bit with the spline smooth tool, especially from those points that became a bit weird. And with this spline, using a cloner, I should be able to create planks. And I think I can create my planks with a cube. So I will create a new cube here. And let me see if I remember this. So 25, 25, 25. And then I will create like a plank. And this is naturally way too big. And I want to take my snapping off. That's annoying that it snaps everywhere. I don't want my dock to probably be bigger in width than something like this. So something like that. And then a bit smaller. Still. This will all make sense soon, I promise. So let's make this now editable, this cube. And I will call this plank, I guess. And I'm just gonna smoothen this a bit. So I'm gonna make it look like a plank. Maybe even scrape it a bit. Now I made it too smooth. Maybe I shouldn't use the smooth tool. Maybe I should use the wax tool. Yeah, this is the tool I was looking for. The smooth tool was completely wrong. If someone has watched this from like the beginning, I used the smooth tool for the original dock that I created, and it could be that I don't have enough geometry, which would suck at this point because I already let me actually add now a subdivision surface to this. So subdivision surface just lets me add more polygons to this afterwards, so you can see without it and then with. And I'm going to make it bilinear, and this amount of subdivision surface should work. So now I'm going to make it an object, delete this one, and then get this new thing here, and we have way more geometry to play around with. Probably too much, but whatever. This is good enough for me. So, what is happening? Maybe save. Yeah, I really need to remember, if I start to stream more, I have to remember to change the screens. It's also, I'm so excited and like focused into what I'm doing here, so it's sort of hard for me to think about everything like at the same time. But I guess it gets better over time. Actually do need to smooth to a little bit, at least to smoothen out a bit of these edges. But basically what I'm now trying to do is just create a simple plank. I'm taking way too long to create one simple plank. But I think with this scrape tool, I think. Scrape. Knife. No, it's knife tool. So with this, I can now create this like sort of line. So this probably won't be, since I will put a texture on this, it literally like won't be even visible. So I guess I'm doing a bit of unnecessary job here. But I'll also sort of want to just show like what type of tools there are in this program to people who don't really know anything about 3D. Okay, that's gotta be it. I don't want to spend longer on it. So simple one plank. And remember we create this spline. I can use, if I'm correct, I might be completely wrong, but I think we can use the cloner and turn it into object mode. And the object is going to be the spline. Uh-oh, what did I do? It gave me an error. Let's do this here. Okay, we're getting somewhere. See, we're getting this here. This should be okay. And first off, we don't have enough of them. And we might need to change the size of them. But this is a start. So we have these now according to the spline that I created. And if I'm right, I can move this spline. And I don't remember, why are they like this? I probably have to change this to subdivide it. This to B spline. There we go. Okay. So I remembered how to do it. So subdivided means that the points of this, if I go to like singular points of the spline, you can see that the spline consists of multiple different points. And here you can see those points in yellow. And basically now it just distributes, when the spline is subdivided, the cloner stuff evenly on it. And now I can increase the count of this. And I have a dock. Hey, there we go. And the only thing we need to now do is add some texture to this. And then we have it. Let's see how it looks. Render failure. Check console window and Octane log window. Uh-oh. Try to access null via pin. Started logging on. Invalid pin. Specular. Oh no. What is this now? Live is lagging. It's because your computer has too much to load. Render failure. Check console and Octane log window. Could it be that I need to save and just restart Cinema? Okay, so that is not working. So we got our first crash, I believe, or at least partly crash. It's not a complete crash, so it's okay, but it is a crash. Could I random? By the way, hey, effectors, hell yeah. So now what I can do is I can go to Mocraft, go to the random effector. Yes. Apply. Yeah. Okay. Did I? I do believe that it's a position that I need to randomize, but I don't want to randomize the Y and the Z, but I want to randomize the X. No, I want to randomize the Y. No. Do I want to randomize the Z then? There we go. So by doing this, now I can randomize the way how these planks are distributed, and this is pretty cool. So it's sort of this broken type of dock. So basically what this does, it now just randomizes the position of each of these elements inside the cloner on the Z-axis. That's pretty cool. Because I think if let's look at reference images, because old dock, yeah. So if we look at old dock images, you can see most likely on some of these that the wooden parts of the dock, yeah, some of them are a bit longer, some of them are a bit shorter, and they're just like placed sort of randomly. And that's exactly what I wanted to achieve. But what I don't like about this now is that it's still very uniform the way how it does. And I actually want to rotate this. I think it's, let me try. Nope, definitely not. Nope, definitely not. Huh. 0. Now I have zero idea what I'm trying to do here. I think the randomizer is not a good tool to do that. No thanks, I'm not gonna even touch. Maybe a little bit we can add that. And then we're gonna go to the cloner and decrease the amount a bit. Like that. Doesn't that start to look like something? Hi Mike, how are you doing? I'm trying to create something here that I'm not really entirely sure what it is, but it is starting to work slowly better. But I crashed once now, so I think I have to restart this. That would suck, but it doesn't matter. What do you think, guys, about the dock? Did we succeed or did we fail? It's not ready yet. I'm still gonna add those like ropes and stuff there. Been a while since you've been live on YouTube. Always like watching them, like when you did them like 2 years ago, editing sessions. Yeah, I used to do so many lives. I miss that. Actually, this has been a lot of fun. It's just super slow. My brain is not really working today as well as it usually does. So, yeah, I think we have to restart. If you could share some channels with good tutorials, that would be awesome. Would love to learn to do this. Okay. I'm not sure if you write it like... Yeah, I think it's like that. And then I'm writing the channels now, by the way. Those are the people I've learned from. You made these models yourself. No, I made only the everything else myself except the hut. I don't really like modeling myself that much. I find it sort of unnecessary, especially since you can find so many models online. For me, the modeling part is not really that big of a deal. I've also invested into models. I haven't bought a lot of models, but if I don't know how to model something myself, I don't want to take the time and model it because first off, I don't really like modeling, and second off, I will waste so much time into creating models, from my point of view at least. So yeah, this hut is just a free model I found online. I'm using that for this one. But it's lagging. Like the scene looks horrible now because I don't have any of my stuff on there. And also I can't render this. It's saying this like weird thing. I'm not sure if that will actually fix if I restart because it's saying this now all the time. I'm gonna save, close it, and I'm gonna start it again. I think I tried to open it too quick. Have you guys enjoyed the live so far? Yeah, let's try this now again. I kind of like modeling, to be honest. It takes a long time to make stuff, but I can sculpt stuff precisely how I want it. Reminds me of Minecraft days. Yeah, that's the only thing that I would like about it, is the fact that I could model whatever I want by myself. But so far, I haven't really felt the need to do that. Oh no, my camera position is now... I had it in such a good spot, but I mean, it's easily fixed. Hey, we're getting somewhere. This is not looking half bad, so let's bring now... I think the clone... No, it's not the cloner. I think it's the spline that I need to bring more down because, yeah. Hey, one more thing that we can do here that will make it look a bit more believable is, since we have these spline points here, we can select one point and we can bring it more down on that point. So some of the pieces of wood are a bit more underwater, and then some of them are less underwater. So here I could create like a bit of this waviness to it. And I could also pick up the point. So I could also like modify the position of it a bit like this. Now this is naturally way too much underwater, so I need to figure out. Maybe turning the plank off for a while would help so I can actually see. Well, that didn't help anything because the points are under. Let's bring this up. Now we can see the points. So all I'm trying to achieve is that some of these are a bit less underwater and some more. I guess that's good enough. Let's turn the plank back on. And then let's put the spline more into the water. Something like that. Okay, there we go. Now we have our dog. The next point would be to then apply a texture to this. Now I believe this texture will work. There we go. Looks a bit stupid on the sides, to be honest, but I'm not too concerned about that because we most likely cannot see the sides in most of these. But what I do want to do is select this last point here and bring this down a bit. There we go. So now if I go to our camera view, okay, we can see it. What if I change the perspective and bring this up a bit? Then we can't see it as much. And also right now, our plank is like way too... We need to make it... Let me save quick. Actually, what is stupid about this now is that I have 4 million geometry here because I used a cloner. So I have too much geometry on this one. I think there is a thing called polygon reduction. Let's see if this works. I can take my plank actually out of the cloner for a while and then do a bit of reduction on this. So if I now go closer here to the plank itself and I bring it above, I should be able to make this thinner. Huh? Ah. I guess that was supposed to happen. So if I have the polygon reduction here, I don't really know what I'm doing. Wasn't showing now at all here in my settings. Let me just take it off now and put it back in. Yeah, like look how much geometry I created there. I should have thought about that before I... So I don't need it to be more than that. A bit less. Something like that. And still, one of these is almost 156,000. So I did a mistake there, definitely. Polygon reduction. Let's put this inside here now. Why is it not showing? The scene looks really pretty so far, man. It's freaking crazy seeing the instant view pro renders on your PC. When I'm in the view pro on my laptop, I gotta wait 5 minutes for it to load. Could fix those edges up in Photoshop, I guess. Yeah, I could fix it in Photoshop. I just like to be able to achieve things now in Cinema 4D. What happened to my camera? I think I ran out of battery on my camera because it's not showing anymore. It's lagging. Let me fix this quick. It could be that I ran out of battery on my camera. Change battery. That's what it says. So quickly gonna change the battery, guys. Wait a while. Huh? Oh, there it is. Just a second. I need to get one of those batteries that don't need to be changed. It's stupid that I even have a battery that has to be changed, but I sort of wanted to just start this stream today and noticed that I don't have even half of the gear needed for it, but whatever. Quite hard to change some battery to a camera when you can't see anything. There we go. Now it should be working. Sorry everyone, I'm trying to figure this out quick. So let's go to remote shooting. Live view shoot. There we go. Let's put it full screen. Hide the tracking point. And then in OBS, I believe I need to change this now. There we go. I'm back. I think I need to change it. No, it seems to be working. Okay, perfect. So we are back. Where's my YouTube chat now? I'm clearly a professional with the streaming thing, as you can see. Using everything I learned from the NFT stuff so far to build a PC. Using everything I earned, but wanna wait till prices cool off. Gotta pay double for parts now. Yeah, I paid. I bought my 3080 when I thought that it was expensive. I bought it at 1,100 euros. I don't even know what are the prices now. Let's check quick. I think here I can see the prices here in Germany. Let's see. 3080. Tough. The exact model I have. This one. Where are prices? Here. What? 3,432 euros. But that's way too expensive. That's like ridiculous. It shouldn't be that. Okay. Yeah, they are actually that crazy. Well, how much is 3090? Weird. Why are the same price? 3080 and 3090 are the same price now? Ah, there we go. Okay. 2,100 for the worst model of the 3080. Okay, I'm not gonna complain. I got mine for very cheap after all. Yeah, it's pretty insane. Let's go here to the plank. Why cannot I use the polygon reduction tool? Could someone tell me? Could someone tell me how I can use it? It's freaking insane. Like you can make 2 pieces out of that window. Yeah, you could make. Yeah, so I don't seem to be able to make the polygon reduction work now. So I'm going to put... No, still does not work. It should work, but for some reason it's not. So it could be that I need to make my plank again if I'm not able to make it work. Hi. Yeah. Oh, there we go. I don't know what I did there, but it's working now, so... Is that it? If I now current state to object and I go here. Oh, that's it, I guess. How much? So if I turn this off and I go here, how much? Just thinking. Okay, that's enough. So I'll delete that. Now I have my plank with less polygons. Let's put this inside the cloner now. And there we go. Looks a bit worse. Actually, quite a lot worse than what we had. But I think from further away it will be fine. I also don't like how, like, it should be just one plank at a time. With maybe a little bit of scratches inside there. So maybe doing like 0.5 on the tiling here. Maybe even less. Let's see. Oh, this is it. So doing like something like that to randomize it a little bit. What about this? Oh, this we can basically keep at to like 1.5. And yeah, I think now if I go to the camera view, why is it underwater now? Did I change something that badly? Ah, I didn't change anything too badly. I just put it. Maybe I need to rotate the whole spline by like a couple of degrees and then put it back down. I am confusion. Should I do it like that? I'm actually very, very confused on how to do this now, but it's warm? Yeah. Let me put the heater off and open the window. This is the best part about Germany. These blinds, I really like them. We don't have them in Finland. Okay. Yeah, Jonas paid 2,800. It's 3,000 already. No clue, everything is named differently in Blender. Got unsubdivided in Blender. Oh yeah, I think a lot of people are using Blender instead of Cinema 4D. For me, this just came a bit more natural to start using this. So the texture is so repetitive here. How could I make this look better? What if I change the texture to this? Ew. Disgusting. I mean, it's better than the other one if I flip it. But what about this wood? This one. And then if I go here and rotate it. Like that. I'm having like massive troubles with this now. Like determining the look of these. I also don't have the displacement on this. But I guess if I add the count a little bit here. What is going on here? I guess this is just the thing that happens. My computer is lagging so much. The streaming and what does this angle do? Cubic? Adaptive? Subdivided? What? It looked so good with subdivided a while back. Is it because of... Ah, okay. Let me turn this on and off once. Ah, it hadn't just updated it. But my question is, why does it have to lag so much? Okay. Probably by now people are super annoyed at watching this because it's going a bit downhill. Hey, now I can show how I can create or can I show? Probably I can't because everything looks quite bad right now. This definitely cannot be more than like maybe 0.2. Okay, that starts to look better. And then a bit of difference here as well. Does anyone know if there's a way to randomize the way how a texture gets displaced? Like, is there a way in Cinema 4D for me to randomize the way how it like flips here? Because right now, if you look at this, it looks stupid because you can see the cracks here in each of these planks at the exact same spot. I'm just wondering if there would be a way to make it a bit different. Maybe by adding a mixed material and then determining that some of the other material will be shown through a noise. So let me try that. So I could do a mixed material. And I could create a new material. And I could make the amount with a noise, so Octane noise. Let's plug this to the amount, and then we will plug this material into the material 1, and then we'll plug this material into material 2, and we will duplicate all of this, I guess. We are now on really, really deep waters here that I don't really know at all what I am doing, but I guess it's okay. This needs to be a glossy material, or universal maybe. No, glossy should be fine. Specular, roughness. What is this map? Bump. And this one is normal. Okay, and we'll make this darker and more reflective. So I can do that by increasing the gamma here and the gamma here. And why isn't it working like it's supposed to be working? Maybe by It's probably because the specular is here, I believe. Yeah. That was the reason. So now, by making this darker, we can make it look a bit more wet. So maybe this is the way to get a bit of variation in there. I might be wrong, but we'll see. So now I could apply this mix material that I created, which I believe is this one. I could apply it in a way that the noise determines. We need to add a UV transform to this and increase the size. And then some of these areas are gonna have let's try this now. I'm gonna drag this to the plank. It did something, I can see, but definitely not enough yet. What if we do turbulence? I want to see if I now take the gamma down. It's not showing at all. So I need to go to the basic. What if I flip these? The noise doesn't seem to be the way how I can now make it look better. I thought it would be. But what if I try something else? Now this is completely experimental naturally. Like I have zero clue if this will work out, but I'll try with the dirt. Most likely this is stupid because at this point I have zero clue what I'm doing. Yeah, no, dirt is not the way to do it. But a noise, on the other hand, should be. Yeah, no, this is not working. I need to find a material that actually fits there. So what I'm trying to Right now you have put the planks in an array, right? Like you made one plank and copied that one. Yes, I did. You could join them to one object and then apply the shaders a second time so that it's treated as one, which will spread the shader randomly instead of duplicating with the same texture. Yeah, actually that gave me an idea that what I could do is duplicate these planks. And this is now just theory. If I add, let's say, a grass texture to the other. Yeah, okay, there we go. So I can have a variation of these. So I could duplicate these. And this would most likely result in me being able to add different textures to these. So it wouldn't be as repetitive. I'm not sure if that's what you meant, but thank you for the tip. This is how I understood it. So I duplicated it. Now we have this texture. Then we could add the same texture to this one. Not to that one. Definitely not to that one. But to this one. And now we have variation. There we go. Then I just changed the tiling on this. Okay. Perfect. It doesn't look good yet. But I think we can make it work. Maybe I should also download one extra texture. There's like 1 hour of this live is just going to be me trying to figure out how I can create simple planks that I could probably figure out right now if I would start watching tutorials. But I want to figure it out myself, so I'm not going to watch tutorials. Plank. So, what planks do we use for this? Mossy wooden planks. That could work, but so could anything else. But I'm now gonna download this and see. Michelle complained that it was really warm in here. Then I needed to open the window and now I'm cold. She's not here, so I'm gonna close the window. How many people are there still watching? Sorry that I asked. I don't know. Where can I see that myself? I have zero clue where I could see that. I build a hate relationship with planks now. I absolutely hate planks. Because I have no idea how to make them look good. $19 people. So it's gone down a lot. But that's okay. I don't care about that. That doesn't look too bad, but I think it should be like one plank instead of many planks in one. Like I would just like to... At this point, I'm not sure. At this point, I definitely am not sure. Now we'll do something. I'll make these thinner. Now I'll make these a bit thinner. And then I will change these finally. Now there's a lot of variation. Now I think we could even get away with just increasing the amount of these in the cloner. So by just increasing these to, let's say, 55, so it closes some of these gaps, we probably have to do even more. Let's do like 60. Getting closer to what I want. Let's do 70. And then I am going to try apply the same texture to all of these now. Just because I want to see how it will look. Okay. That's good enough for me. I'm not going to spend too much time anymore on it. 0.5 on all of these. Maybe 0.4 on this one. And then 0.7 on that one. Now there's variation. That's it. Now we will move on finally. Thank God. I'm gonna desaturate this a little bit. Make it darker. And create I would like to say that we'll do like this. Yeah. So I'll create a mixed material on this. So this is material 1. Then we're gonna have material, octane material. This is gonna be a glossy material. Let's plug that into the diffuse, this into the normal. And then from the specular, I want to bring the specularity down a bit, roughness up a tiny bit. I want to just have a bit more of a wet look on certain areas. So gamma up. That's it. Now we have a wet blank. And I'm going to make this to the material 2. And then the amount, we'll try the noise once more. It should work out if I am right. Octane mixed material. Is it this one? Yes. Let's apply it to all of these. There we go. This is starting to look better. But the amount is then decided with, let's try fall off. Can I decide the amount with a fall off map? No, probably not. Oh. What did I do? What did I do? Okay, we're still alive. Now I want to save. If it now crashes, I'll be mad. So, Octane noise. Please work, please work. Why isn't it working? I don't understand. Like, it's not really doing what I want it to do, which is that it would sort of like some parts of the trees would be wet and some parts would be a bit more like dry. And from what I remember, you should be able to determine the this is because I hadn't applied the mix material. Okay, I was wrong. Now we can do it. We should be able to do it. There we go. And then just this a bit smaller. Okay, we made it. Yeah. There we go. I'm happy with that. At least, sort of. 18 people currently watching. At some point it was like hundreds, but I've been live for 3 hours. I've been doing this for 3 hours. But I mean, it takes longer also at the same time when I'm explaining things and talking to myself. Just saw your Instagram story of your PC. It's awesome looking. Thank you. This live renderer beside the solid preview is a big flex. I ain't gonna camp. Yeah, like I guess I'm really, really lucky to be able to edit in 3D now immediately without lag. So I definitely remember the times when I had to struggle a lot with speeds. That was less than 3 years ago. And I remember making a promise to myself that when I can, I will get the best gear possible, because I was so sick of waiting in between and just struggling my way. Okay, so now that we have this, let's turn everything on, including the fog. What is happening here? First off, where is my grass texture? And why does my scene look like poop? I guess it's because... What is this here? Ah, there we go. No worries. Only thing that is missing is the grass texture, and I do not know why it's missing, but it sort of annoys me that it's missing. Touching grass. Why don't we have the touching grass here? Yes, we do. And why is it white? Or is it the vegetation tree? No. This could also just be a render issue. So I'll update my renderer. It wasn't a render issue. This is a true issue. So I guess now we'll start to figure out why is this happening. Probably because I deleted unused materials. Yeah, why is it showing white? Why is my thing gone from here? This is what I mean when I say that sometimes it is a bit annoying to work in this. I'm just going to use a material at this point that I have in my database and not even worry about it too much. Here we go. So I'm going to apply this. This is my grass texture that I created myself from something. This better work. Thank God. These are the lilies. I guess for the lilies I can also do this. Let me actually do it like this. So I select these. Then I just add this here. Now I don't have the variation that I had at some point, but I couldn't care less at this point because I'm frustrated. I guess I will do it. So here, let's search for the lily of the valley, go to files. Where is my, there we go. Albedo, please work. Lily of the valley, let's go to here, and then we will drag this albedo into the node editor. And we had 2 color corrections, each going into the texture. That better work. Why isn't it working? Thank God. I don't know what happened, but that should work now. So lilies. They're now the right texture. The grass I don't care too much about now. I'm either way annoyed at this point, so I'll probably do it outside of the live if it bothers me too much. Our pine tree is way too big, by the way. So let's go to tree scatters here, tree parameters, and then the tree size a bit down. Yeah, that's better. And then I want to most likely further on define that the trees cannot be, I don't want the trees to be visible anywhere like straight next to the tree, because I think that results in a weird look that it's like pretty much connecting to the tree. So I'm gonna create a vertex map here, and vertex map is basically like a layer mask in Photoshop, so I can determine where the trees will be visible and where they won't be visible. And I also guess I need to create a plane effector for the grass. So I think we need to go to grass scatters and then do, where's my randomizers? Here. Plane trees. And I'm duplicating this I'm gonna do plain grass. And this is then gonna be applied to all of these, I guess. And by lifting this, where is it? Here, I can determine that I don't want any grass there. And why isn't it working exactly? Plain trees. I put the plain trees. I needed to put the plain grass. That was my issue. So there we go. So now with the plain grass, I should be able to determine better. Yeah. Okay. Issue fixed. I just didn't want the grass to be grown on the water. I guess I should bring it down just a tiny bit though, like that. So it covers the ugly dirt there. So then I need to do the vertex map. And this vertex map is really cool. So I can go to the dirt and I can select the geometry. I need to make it editable first. And I can create a selection here. Let's say I don't want the grass to be visible here. I could do a selection like this. I mean the trees visible, what am I talking about? So I don't want the trees to be visible on this area. I can go to select, invert the selection, and then create a vertex map. Select, set vertex weight, 100%. And this creates a vertex map for me. And vertex map is basically just, why can I not edit my vertex map? This is probably because the rock is also there. Yeah. So vertex map is basically like a layer mask. If I hold shift here, I can soften this mask, which is really helpful. And now the trees grow everywhere there's yellow, but nowhere where there's red. So if I now turn my thing back on, you can see that there's one tree here. Immediately when I go to the vertex map, I have to apply it first, sorry. So tree scatters, let's go to these two. Distribution, I drag the vertex map into the scatter. And then now when I add a bit of here to the selection, you can see that this actually gets rid of there. There we go. What is going on? There we go. So now the tree is not growing like exactly next to it. And this allows us now to increase the amount of scattering we are doing. So we can do a bit more of these trees. Which tree is this? Maple. So maple and then pine. So let's increase the amount of these trees. Put a bit too many trees. Still probably a bit too many. Let's do like 17. Okay, better. And then the pine trees, let's do 6. Why aren't the pine trees showing at all here? Do we have any pine trees? No. What's going on? I want my pines. Oh. I guess they were visible. It was just lagging. So I want to do like randomized amount. That's pretty good. I just hate how this one tree is there. I might have to define the vertex map a bit. I'm gonna do it in a way that none of the trees can grow like exactly at the edge. So that's good. So then now when I increase the count here, we are getting some trees. And when I turn this on, we're getting some trees as well. There we go. That's pretty good. We have a bit of variation going on. One of the trees that I don't like here is this one. So I will probably take that off. And yeah, it's pretty good. I would say that we need some more bushy stuff there. Oh, there's so many messages. Sorry that I'm so bad at looking at the messages. Hi man, it's gonna be available after the fusion has arrived. Yep, I will actually keep this updated. I will put it to YouTube. Looking sick, thanks Yuzo. Those what just happened and aha moments were treated. Yeah, every single time. Like I'm constantly so confused of what happens. Hi, can you please tell me what microphone do you use? I use the Shure SM7B. It's probably the most popular microphone on the market right now. By the way, is the audio quality good? Like straight out of the microphone? I added a compressor to the audio. So like if I go really high, it won't like get super loud. And then if I get really low, it should like sort of compress the voice in a way that it's not unpleasant to listen to. Dude, how did you know crash yet? Yeah, I don't know. I have zero clue. I'm really lucky that I did not. I've done so many mistakes here. What should I do now? Oh God. I'm actually really happy with how this turned out. Maybe I should now create the fence type of thing. Does Bridge have fences? Please, I really don't want to start making fences now. Fence? Thank God. Oh, I've actually even downloaded that. For what? What did I use that for? Hey, we could use these. There we go. 2K resolution is fine. Download these, guys. Ouch. Ouch. Export them. There we go. Hey, this will work. So, let's zoom in. We will use these 100 million %. I can change the color of the texture. I can fix all of that. So, let's make it less like that and then increase the size. And we use these as like the points for our fence, like that. Should it be in there? Isn't that usually how docks are? Now I'm starting to get rid of this. Grass scatters, vegetation, wild grass patch, remove it from there. So should it be outside or inside this? These are just like the points where I will hang the like sort of ropes or whatever. I'm not sure. I guess it doesn't really matter. Maybe half in, half out. Like this. That's probably how it's supposed to be. This is in air. Literally in air here. This is because of my spline is down. But you can't see it from further, or I'm not sure if I want to even try to fix it. Maybe I should. Someone is gonna be annoyed if I don't. So, that's better. Alright, I'm heading off. Enjoy working on the rest of the piece with the stream. Yes, I will. Thank you for watching, Mike. Always nice. That's a great question. Do we need to go and look at reference images? I really do not want to do that. And how many polygons does one of these have? Hey, how can I see how many polygons a certain asset has? Is there a way for me to see that? I also probably won't continue the live for long anymore, and I will do another live tomorrow where I finish it. Because Michelle has a friend over, so probably should not continue for too long. What? This is the stupid spline thing that I did at some point, that it goes underwater. My neck hurts like crazy. Pretty sure would 100% look at a reference. Probably, yeah. Probably I should too. But should I also start doing like weekly lives? Probably not weekly. I can't stick to a weekly schedule. I'm too lazy for that. Okay. That works. And what would be the easiest way to then... If these don't have a lot of polygons, they actually do have quite a lot of geometry on them. It's not necessarily an issue though. Like, that's not like too much. I mean, here. Only 2000? Okay, easy. That's nothing. So, let's do this. I mean, just disable the asset and check how much affects the total polygon count. Yeah, but if I have... I mean, yeah, that should work. Yeah, that's true. I thought just because I have 2.9 million here that wouldn't work out. But okay, so now we need to duplicate this. Is there a way to duplicate it in the same way as this cloner? Yes, there is. There is. I can use this. I can duplicate this cloner. And I can delete these planks from there. I don't need those planks. Although I do sort of... No, I don't. I don't need them. So let's put this wood thing in there. What the Okay, so I will make it. I will make it work. So I'll put way less, first off. Just a few of these. It's definitely a few. Even less. And I'm gonna do an effector separately for this. So I don't need... No, maybe the random effector is good. But I need to duplicate. I believe it's this one that I used, yes. So this is random planks. And then this is random logs, I guess. And then now with this, if I put this random logs effector here, I should be able to determine at what point here. But it randomizes the... I sort of do not like the fact that it randomizes the amount on like to both directions. I'm not sure if there is a way to do it in a way that it only goes to one direction with the randomizer. I'm just trying to find out like a way that I don't have to one by one like place these logs here. And instead I could use the cloner somehow to place these logs at like certain spots. I guess if I would add enough of them, then using this way as well would work. But since it's a random thing, if I move this on certain areas, it will already go like over. You should look into PureRef. Yeah, I have PureRef on my computer, I think. Yes, I have PureRef here. So I could add it here. But what I don't like about this is that I cannot understand why I can't drag it anywhere. Like I need to always move it like this, which is not really ideal for me. And now I don't know. Close, okay. So someone is asking about my camera. I guess I will answer in Finnish, so people who don't speak Finnish will be confused. But mulla on tällä hetkellä toi R5 käytöstä striimissä. Ja se on toiminut tosi hyvin. Mä kävin eilen just kuvailemaan tällä uuden linssillä. Just saying, telling about the R5 that I bought. I got this lens for it. Tää on 100-500 millinen. Kävin tän kanssa eilen kuvaa, en saanut mitään kuvia, mutta tänään varmaan menen vielä tossa. Ei kuin metsissä tänään enää mene. Mutta joo, on tosi hyvä kamera. Ja mun pitää vaan ostaa siihen yksi semmonen lisäjuttu, että mä pystyn näitä striimejä tekemään sen kanssa ilman vaihtamaan noita akkuja. But yeah, okay, back to English. I'm trying to figure this out. This is the last thing I'll figure out, and then I will stop. And most likely I can't even figure it out now. So, we'll see. So position. Is there a way to do it? Deformer, effector. Hey, what if I use a fall off map for this? No, that wouldn't work. Maybe I just do it manually. But yeah, that will be then tomorrow. Because right now I think I'm done for the day. I think if I would have had a clear idea and it wouldn't have been streaming, I would already be done. Some of these planks are also overlapping. That's not good. I need to fix that. But yeah, I think I'm done now for today for the stream. I will continue creating this tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. And I will also do a stream about that. And I think in that stream we can move way further in this and try to actually get it done. Good, I love Finnish. It sounds awesome. Yeah, I guess to people who don't speak it, it either sounds awesome or really disgusting or ugly. Julius, what is your PC setup? I have a highlight on my story for the PC setup, so just check it from there. But hey, thank you everyone for watching today. I will now head off and we'll continue within a few days. I'll put a story on Instagram and Twitter again when I will do it. This stream will be uploaded to the channel. I probably need to list it, that it goes visible on YouTube. I will create a thumbnail for it and everything. And this is the part 1, and the part 2 will then come in a few days. And that's it. Can you please upload this? Yes. Awesome stream, Pro. Thank you. Thank you so much for helping me also in the beginning. And yeah, I'll message you on Discord after this stream is over. I will stop now. Okay, thank you for watching. I'll see you in a few days.